to another exciting hour around the crypto canniverse. We're building an international community for visionary entrepreneurs at the crossroads of Christ, cryptocurrency, cannabis, and CPAs. Our mission? To grow, educate, and inspire within these controversial four C's. No matter your beliefs, you are welcome here. Hosted by Crystal Wampler, the glue that binds us, and our spiritual powerhouse, Mr. Alan Lau. Today, our guest co-host is Kenneth Knoll, aka Crypto Kenny. He is an investor, serial entrepreneur, builder, manager, and so much more. Let's go ahead and put our hands together and welcome Kenny. How's it going, Kenny?
It's going great, Crystal. Thank you so much. Really happy to be here. Love delving deep into these topics. Specifically, I really enjoy tokenized assets, and I think it's going to be great to talk about that today. For those of you that don't know me on the show, my name's Kenny. I'm Crypto Kenny on Twitter. I've been in the blockchain development space for almost a decade now. Before that, I was in traditional finance. I currently am acting CEO of BlockSafe Solutions, a white glove full stack development service that operates and has a goal to assist founders, visionaries, entrepreneurs in building out their dreams in the space. I also am on the board of NC Management, a company that helps affluent crypto investors manage their assets, get funding for projects that they're looking to work with, and do different levels of marketing and legal work. So just very deep in the space. I eat, sleep, and live this space, and I'm super happy to be here. Can't wait to have this very stimulating discussion today. Thank you, Crystal.
Thank you, Kenny. Alan, good afternoon. How's it going?
Great and good. How about you, Crystal? Thank you, everyone, for joining to our Crypto Canada show. I'm really excited to hear about today's project. How are you, Crystal?
Wonderful. Thank you. Would you let us know, like, what kind of Bible verse do you have today for us?
Yeah, today's Bible verse, actually, me and you spoke this morning, and we prayed and meditated about it. It comes from the book of Psalms. Psalm reminds me of Songs of Solomon, but verse that comes from Psalms 51:10, and it reads, the book of Psalm in the Bible, specifically from Psalms 51, which is often attributed to King David. And it reads, create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. So when we were talking about it this morning, we always ask ourselves, like, how do we have a clean heart? How do we have a purified heart? And how do we have the Spirit help us to lead us into different places and give us guidance? So, and I want to open it up to to everyone here. Is like, how do we have a clean heart? How do we let the Spirit lead us? Because I truly believe that our spirit is always within us, right? And it always guides us into whether meeting different people or engaging in different partners of yours or business partners that you meet along the way. But oftentimes we also want to ask us, like, how do we achieve a clean heart with God? So I wanted to open it up to the guests here and just ask simple questions. How do we achieve a clean heart, and how do we have the Spirit lead us in different? It's open question, so anyone can answer. Just raise your hand, I guess.
I love to speak on that.
Okay, go ahead.
Wonderful.
As you're talking about this, I had just sent Crystal a short audio note before the call today to ask her if this was appropriate. But, my journey of, 10 years of entrepreneurship, I was traveling around the world and sleeping in my bed like twice a month. And I built a very successful business, and I had found the woman of my dreams. Businesses were doing well. The only unfortunate thing was that my father was dying of cancer. And so in a 4-month period, my pregnant wife, who was 6 months pregnant, we lost both our companies in 1 month. My father passes away and my son is born, and I have a stepson. And I got very sick at the time due to stress and just the overwhelming pressure of everything. Lost half of my hair, got extremely sick, and went down to 110 pounds. And it got to the point where I had no idea what to do. I literally was at the mercy of just God and his divine guidance. And I had no idea what to do. My marriage was in a very bad place. My wife wanted to leave me. And I literally just sat there and waited on God. And I said, you know what? If you're the real deal, like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how in a 9-month period my life can turn upside down in this way. And I literally just sat there, and I had never done any type of intermittent fasting. I had never done time restricted eating. I just sat there and I drank water, and I sat in my backyard and I did nothing, and I just waited on him. And 6 days later, after fasting, I had a lot of revelations, a lot of realizations. My health started turning around. And literally from that day forward, my health turned around. It repaired my marriage. It exploited my finances. Every aspect of my life completely transformed. And in that moment, I realized how important it is to really be still and wait on him. And if you do that, it's like the doors open. And if you really are connected with that, like everything changes. And so, it's just so fitting for that verse.
Thank you, Eddie, for sharing. And Crystal and I was meditating on this verse and praying, and we talked about we spoke about achieving clean heart is an ongoing process that requires dedication, self-awareness, and commitment to personal growth. And spiritual development, it's important to be patient, like you mentioned, Eddie, and compassionate with yourself along the way, recognizing that everyone's experiences setbacks and challenges on the path to inner purification. So waiting on God and continuing to believe and trusting that he will direct you in the right path, and knowing that the Spirit will guide you every step of the way. So thank you so much for sharing, Eddie. That's a very personal testimony as well.
Wonderful. Thank you, Alan. Since you are already talking, let's go ahead and take a minute to have you introduce yourself and tell everyone about you.
Yeah, it's a little bit about me. Born in Hong Kong, raised in California, came out, I was 6 years old. Studied at University of California, Davis, where I took my studies in major economics, macroeconomics, as well as communication. Then spent about 16 years at a wealth management group as a financial advisor, managing clients' assets for individuals and businesses. Built a book of business. What I loved about my role was working with different partners and different professionals that you meet along the way that specializes in different aspects. My core business was lending, banking, insurance, and trust and fiduciary services. That led me into the finance of cryptocurrency, where I truly believe that the infrastructure is still being built. The adoption of crypto is still very early in stage, and there's a lot of companies being launched. It feels like the .com stage, where a lot of technology companies are launching, but there's going to be ones that are going to be thriving. And I feel that there's an era for crypto technology, and that's why I love this industry and love meeting people like you guys that are very passionate and very forward-looking into what this will do for us. So, and I'm a middle school leader at my church, which is Bayside in Granite Bay. We have, I think now 8 locations in California, and continue to build our footprint for God and doing God's work. So thank you everyone for being here today. We really appreciate the time.
Thank you, Alan, for that introduction. Let's move on down to Miss Amanda.
Oh, we're all doing it today. Good morning. I am Amanda, like Crystal said. I work at a CPA office. We're a family-run practice. We have an office in Huntington Beach and La Mirada, but we serve all over the states, even some out of the country. Most people know what a CPA does. The thing that we do a little special is each person gets a tax manager, someone who's easy to get a hold of, somebody who understands what it is that they do. Other than that, we do payroll, bookkeeping, so we could be a one-stop shop for everybody, just make it a little bit easier. I also have a nonprofit, which is the Happy Camper Foundation. Through donations, we send kids that are either inner city kids or struggling families. We do a lot of foster care kids. We send them up to summer camps, residential summer camps. They get to spend a week up at camp. They get food, they get a bed, and they get to do so many different activities and bond with kids their age.
Thank you, Amanda. Can you please drop that information in the chat? Thank you. Let's move on over to Mr. Jacob Livingood.
Guys, my name is Jacob Livingood. I am a Web2 media personality, social media I don't like influencer, but someone that's an enthusiast and thinks building a personal brand is something that's useful and valuable in today's economy. And I moved over into Web3, and I have a background in e-commerce, and I ran a startup, and now I have a blockchain project, which we won't go into. But I'm a media personality, and I like to add value in asking questions that people my age and people that are doing the things that I do might find inquisitive.
Thank you, Jacob, for joining us today and sharing. Let's move on down to Mr. Clayton Cruz. You're on mute.
Pushed the button and nothing happened. Yeah, my name is Clayton, and I am primarily an attorney to folks in blockchain and Web3 space. Work a lot with Mr. Kenny at BlockSafe and various other business ventures. Yeah, that's really a lot of what I do, and I'm very involved in crypto and blockchain in lots of different ways other than being an attorney.
Thank you, Clayton, for sharing. Mr. Kurt Shore.
Hey guys, how are you? Can you hear me okay now? Okay, so I'm Kurt Shore. I'm in Philadelphia. I own a branding, marketing, creative advertising firm called D4 Creative, and we've been around quite a while. But my, we just help companies big and small get grow by supplying them with better strategies and how to differentiate themselves and creative that inspires their audiences to love them. So, and before that, I was in the music industry half my life, and I'm still very active in music. But without bragging, I had a couple hits. I've worked with people that most of you have heard of, and I'm still very active with music. And lately, the last year or so, I was listening to Eddie's story, and it was really, really interesting. And I think that this last song that I wrote, if you guys go and you'll hear it, is called One. And it's really, in a sense, it's very much encapsulates what your story was in just, 3 minutes. So, but I'm here to learn, and I'm here to, if anybody out there needs help with branding and anything like that, I'm also here for that. So thank you.
Thank you, Kurt. We appreciate you being here. As you all know, my name is Crystal Wampler. I own Kinetics. It's a cannabis financial advisory solutions group. We were nominated top CPA firm in California in 2019. I launched a cryptocurrency investment company for CPAs and their company and their clients. I also now work for the Bespoke Group. It's a multifamily office. Our average client is 50 million or more. It's all cryptocurrency. And I also work with Mr. Clayton Cruz and help him with his law firm, The Estate PLLC. All righty, let's go ahead and welcome our speakers today, Eddie and Julian. How are you guys doing today?
Really well, Crystal. Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited about you guys sharing your story and how you got into crypto. Can you guys tell us about yourselves?
Absolutely.
Sure.
Julian, you want to kick it off? I already
Yeah,
got it.
yeah, cryptocurrency. So hi, I'm Julian Ducheine. Thank you for having me, Crystal. And cryptocurrency for me has been quite a journey. So I was a doctoral student in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, when I discovered Airbnb back in 2011. And one of my guests and when we talk about, I love the talk Alan was talking about the divine and following, the Holy Spirit's guidance. And I helped this individual out all day, took him around town, showed him around. He was one of my Airbnb guests, and he was so thankful. He decided to tell me how he made money, which was in Ethereum back when it was several dollars. It went up to hundreds of dollars. And so you never know, who you're blessing and what blessings they have for you. because that information really transformed my life. I then invested in cryptocurrency, roughly $3,800, which is like everything I had, because he gave me the confidence and the belief that this was what I had to do to actually see enough gains in life to separate myself, to be able to live on my terms. And so that was my prayer, my ask, to be able to, because at the time you're in school, you're thinking about, I have to start a practice, I have to do all these things, and all this debt I'm accumulating from student loans. So I was looking for a way to prepare for that, right? Not to just go into my practice and then have to deal with all this encumbered expenses. So this individual really inspired me to do that. And I put the $3,800 in, and then another individual came that I was hosting. And at the same time, I'm building my business part-time of Airbnb. I only had one apartment at the time. And because as a student, you can't really work a full-time job. So I started renting and arbitraging other apartments in Fort Lauderdale. At the time, the ports of the cruise ships were getting more popular. People from all over the world were coming and would stay off the port for a day or two and book my Airbnb, because there wasn't many in Fort Lauderdale. And that's another story how I got into that, the same kind of following the divine. And so I got it. I started expanding. And then this other guest told me about blockchain security being a big problem, and that he works in the White House, and that I should look into, and at the time you were getting quality guests in Airbnb. I'm talking early on, when only it was for like corporate workers. People from San Francisco were using Airbnb back then. So the type of guests that were coming to downtown Fort Lauderdale and Las Olas were very high quality guests that were staying in my apartment, renting a room, because there was no more hotels back then. Florida was booming. And so I learned quickly that, okay, I got to find a security company in blockchain. So I invested $3,800 in that security company, and it turned into well over 6 figures. And just like that, in 12 weeks, I checked the account, and it's, $600,000-$700,000. I said, wow, I'm a student here with hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, making probably $300 to $500 a week, just getting by, living off student loan money. And I just made this money, right? So I'm just like, I got to do something. And the first thing I thought about was real estate. My family's been in real estate for 30 years. They've like refinanced properties 7 times over those years. And so they've actually increased wealth and maintained their hard work. So I said, I got to buy a house. And I was already doing vacation rentals. So one of my guests, again, the divine, told me I should get bigger homes. There's a lot of people that come to Florida to do events, and there's never space, and they're so expensive. So that stayed in my mind. And so this is just being open and receptive to, God's direction, and information. Of course, I verified and looked into these things, and I'm a student. So I love statistics and probability. So I looked into all these probabilities and stuff. And so that ended up leading me to find this house that was actually already sold on Zillow. In 25 minutes, it was posted on Zillow. I got to the house. I get in my car, I drive there, I get to the house, and I'm at the gate of the house, and the owner's walking out with the paperwork, and it's already signed. The house was sold. And I said, hey, I want to see the house. And he said, it's signed, it's done. I'm going to the bank now to finish up with the title company. I said, no, you don't understand. I'll pay cash. He said, you'll pay cash? And he says, okay, come inside. He shows me the house. I go to the house. I said, well, he says, well, look, if you're not going to get it, don't waste my time. I'm going to just go with them. I said, no, look, I think I'm going to get it. I can get you cash in 20 days close. He's like, get that in writing today, and I'll rip this paper up. I got it right in writing 2 hours later. We signed the paper, and I was short actually about $40,000 from the closing price. And that was another story that I can get into. It's just everything that's happened. I really trusted in the divine and God. And I think that's how, and I've always done right by people. I think, I don't know, I'm lucky, whatever, it's just something in me, but it worked out. And so I got the house. I ended up naming it the Bitcoin Mansion of Miami. And I did events there, bachelor parties, thousands of guests there. I ended up selling the house for 40-50% greater 3 years later than I paid for it. And then I moved to Texas. I had 3 kids. I got married, and I partnered with Eddie. And in between that, Eddie and I met each other in Fort Lauderdale, actually, while I was building my business. And that story is incredible too, because I was meditating all day and praying in my room, and I was going to school, and I had no friends in Fort Lauderdale. And I thought to myself, I got to meet people. And I leave and I walk on Las Olas, and I go to this place called Rocco's Taco, and Eddie was coming in, and I was walking in, and I noticed him because he looked, there's a lot of white Americans in downtown Fort Lauderdale. We were just the only distinguished different culture people. And so I said, I'm going to make friends with this guy. So I came up to him, I started talking to him, And he was the first person I met after meditating for 3 hours in my apartment about how I should meet people. And at the time, he was building a business, and he was with a big group of people he worked with, and I knew he was somebody that I had to connect with because he was just so like it seemed like he had a group around him and he was working on something big. So I got really excited about that. So that was another thing. So yeah, it all came together and it led me to Eddie and us who were building. But that's my little story about crypto right there. If Eddie, you want to share a little bit.
Yeah, and I'd love to give some other context to that. When Julian launched the Bitcoin Mansion, he brought a whole community of hackathons, crypto events, and he built a huge Rolodex of people in crypto. And that turned into him being an analyst for crypto funds. He had hundreds of millions of dollars in management under his crypto portfolio that he was managing for this fund. That led him to, and he didn't say this either, that he ended up managing a portfolio of hundreds of millions of dollars in Miami of mansions, which gives a lot of context to what we're going to talk about in a second in our project. But quick backstory on me: I've been in direct sales, internet marketing, affiliate marketing, network marketing for 18 years. For me, I fell in love with the profession because for me, I love helping people win in two areas, which is what affiliate marketing and network marketing really is. You're helping people with the business, but then you're helping people with life. I feel like so oftentimes, even when you think you've got it figured out, like I was saying in 2016, I was doing very, very well. But, they say that, when you think you've got it all figured out, that's when you definitely do not have it figured out, right? And so in 2016, I had built a successful business. But then again, when I lost everything, I realized that at any point, you're at the mercy of the divine and whatever is going to happen. You have no real control over these things. And so it humbled me to look at things very differently. My father had a very, very successful company, and his vision for me was to take over the company, but it didn't sit well with my heart, with who I was. And so I loved, again, developing people, helping people. And so after 2016, when I went back into the profession of direct sales net marketing, I had a completely different outlook on life and business and all that. And meanwhile, I'm investing all my cash flow into real estate. And so now for 8-9 years, I'm investing into real estate. And then Julian and I were working a lot of other projects at the time in the crypto space. And I looked at Julian and I said, hey, what can we do with real estate and blockchain, right? I know that tokenizing of assets is a concept. No one's really figured it out yet, but what can we do? And so there was always this conversation about blockchain and real estate, blockchain and real estate. And in September of 2022, my grandmother passes. So I go back to my home country of El Salvador, where my mother's from, and I spent my entire childhood there. And I go to El Salvador, and I noticed there was this huge transformation. Now I have 31st cousins there that had been telling me for years, you need to come back to El Salvador, you need to come. And I'm like, no way, never going back. I was like those people that, left Venezuela, and then they're just like, never, no, thank you, right? And for me, I just, after, 17, 18 years of being in the country, it became the murder capital of the world. I just had like trauma and experiences. All my family's been through extortion. I have wealthy family members and poor family members. And it's just been a really, really rough, 16, 17 years for the country. And so when I went back, because I was forced to, for my grandmother's funeral, I saw the transformation of the country. I saw the crypto laws. I saw what the president's doing. People don't realize this, but Bitcoin is legal tender there. And it's not just about being able to operate with Bitcoin. It's also just the crypto laws, the blockchain friendly laws that, they have AI laws, blockchain laws, that if you incorporate a company there for 7 years, you don't pay taxes. It's now the safest country in the entire Western Hemisphere. They've had 2 homicides in close to 600 days, which is safer than pretty much any city in America. And so, I called my wife and I said, listen, I'm never going to ask you for anything like this ever again, but can you please come to El Salvador? She thought I was talking about like a month or something. And I said, no, I want to move here for a while. And I was back and forth for a year. And then after we kind of laid down the foundation and laid down the foundation of everything, we accumulated close to 1,000 acres of beachfront coastal land. We started doing a lot of developments all over the country. And now we started a company called travelelsalvador.com. And our goal is to become the #1 real estate development company in the country and the #1 hospitality brand. So, bringing my last, years of real estate and development and Julian's understanding of blockchain and vacation rental, we think that we can create something really special. And so we were doing this along the ways. And then when we started trying to figure out how to merge the blockchain idea, we launched a collection called accessluxury.io. And the first collection is El Salvador. And the NFT project is called SV Lux. And we've found a way to bring fractional ownership to people. And we've found a way to solve three main problems. One, giving the average person a chance to get the upsides of real estate. I think a lot of people want to be in real estate, but they just delay it for so many years because the barrier of entry and the complication is a challenge. The second thing is, when you do have a house or you do have a home, I tell people that the fastest way to lose all of your hair is to try to manage a vacation rental home with no experience, right? And the third thing is that when you go to places or go to cities and countries, you definitely don't get VIP treatment. You usually pay more than you should, and you don't get the best of the country. So in all these collections that we roll out in the land that we have all over the world now, it's not just in El Salvador. We've accumulated thousands of acres in other cities, countries, and states. Our plan is to roll out these collections and give people an ability to participate in real estate, get no headache with a vacation rental. And then when you go there, you have access to VIP benefits and can help through the process of the best of the country. So, that's
If I could add some things there, because I forgot to mention my career in vacation rentals after the Bitcoin Mansion. And so the Bitcoin Mansion brought me a lot of attention. Sorry for the roosters. I'm actually in El Salvador right now at a great cafe, and there's a farm next door and roosters. I'm here with my three kids to add to Eddie's how safe this country is. I brought my three little kids here, 4, 3, and 1, and my wife, and we love the country so much that we decided to live here. We go back and forth to Texas and here. But in the days of Bitcoin Mansion, I met a lot of influential people early on. I did one of the first after parties to the blockchain North American Bitcoin conference of Miami. It was at the Clevelander, I think in 2017. That after party, I think there was only like 700 people back then for a Bitcoin conference. Today, you have I think in 2021 they had 35,000 people show up at the Bitcoin conference to show you how early we were. And in that conference, one of the individuals I met was called Nick Spanos, and this guy was featured on Banking on Bitcoin, one of the first documentaries. He had the first ever exchange, and he owned the Blockchain Center of New York and Miami. And so I was so intrigued by him and so just honored to meet him and everything, that I gave him my house for the Bitcoin Mansion for a full month to use for him and his team as he was building the Blockchain Center of Miami. In that conversations, he's the one that taught me about tokenized assets. He's the one that told me you have to tokenize real estate. So I went in 2019 to do it. And when I did it, I realized it was a lot harder than I thought. I had to go through legal stuff. I spent $30,000 on lawyers, Reg D, Reg S, all this stuff, and just back and forth in conversations to offer something what he said was a securities to U.S. citizens. So when that project failed, we raised $100,000 in a day. We ended up having to give back to investors all the money and shutting down the project. And then in 2021, when the whole NFT craze came out, I started an NFT project called Meta V Group. And it was a concept that had utility, and we didn't have a token. It was just an NFT. And we were creating a group for entrepreneurs, like an incubator, to teach them about crypto, to get them involved and stuff of that nature in the Miami area. And so one of my business partners in that didn't operate with integrity and wasn't someone I wanted to do business with in the future. So I ended up buying the project up and leaving it there. Then when Eddie came to me with all this stuff, I was like, well, I already had a token. It failed. I already had an NFT project. I picked the wrong people. And so when we brought our experience together, what this project is, I think, is a complete project of all of our experiences. And so of combining what Eddie's done, what I've done in the vacation real estate business, and also what I've learned from people early on in crypto and my experience and my time in the industry and trying projects and going through the fire and just figuring it out right as we go. And we've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars, not just in this project, but in the previous projects, to figure out what, and so this is years in the making. That's where I'm getting at. This is about like 7 years in the making, this project. So I'm really excited to be able to fractionalize real estate and offer it to people. And so they can here in this country where the legal structure is set up. And what I also forgot to mention is now I currently work for a company called Wealth USA. I'm the president and the CEO and the founder and myself. We create complex trust structures for high net worth individuals. And to protect, do their estate planning, and we leverage index universal life insurance policies. But as I'm learning about trust, we incorporate that into our project. So that's a very unique thing, I think. And when you're talking about crypto projects, is the legal framework, and where I think people are going to find a huge benefit into the crypto space is making the project into a smart contract, and then putting that smart contract into a complex trust structure, and then becoming the beneficiary and making the community the beneficiaries to the structure. So this is a very unique concept. I think we're the only ones in the space that are doing it in this matter with real estate, especially in El Salvador, and then eventually globally, to be able to help other individuals get into the space and educate them on smart contracts and cryptocurrency and utility tokens and stuff of this nature. So I think it's a great solution, because now we can, like other projects and NFTs and crypto, they're not backed by anything. So now we can say, hey, we're going to gift this community this property and this land and this deed and put it on the blockchain with a smart contract. And then when the people buy into the membership, they're going to get these access rewards and benefits to that particular deed and ownership rights.
We've said a lot, so I don't know if you want to open up for questions, Crystal. We've said a lot of things here.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. A lot of great information. Thank you, guys. Yeah, let's open up for questions. I know that we have quite a few. Jacob, would you like to start?
Well, I got a lot of things to lead into. So for starters, not a question, just more of a commentary. God is funny, man. He's got a great sense of humor, right? The Holy Spirit works as an inclination where it's like your intuition tells you something. Julian meditates for 3 hours. And he's like, I need some tacos. And then he walks into the shop and goes, there's Eddie. And then to see that blossom into this, that's cool, right? Yeah. It's powers of discernment. I think that's awesome. So first question that I have among a couple, right? So we started in El Salvador, right? Love it. And with the idea of eventually going globally, has the global launched yet, or are we still centralized into El Salvador?
Well, it has and it hasn't. We have the land. So we have the land, but we're rolling out the collection one at a time. We want to get the collection live, sell out the project, and then bring on the next one. And so the pieces are there, but it's not live to come into the project right now. The only live is SVLX.
So awesome. we have land in Dominican Republic. We have deeds and we own 100%, and we have lands here in El Salvador, upwards of 100 acres. That we've invested a lot of money here in this country, in Dominican Republic, and Oklahoma, North Carolina, upstate New York. We have, those are the main places we currently have land. We want to keep accumulating land, and then leveraging investors in the community and benefiting them to build there, and then give them some type of ownership or equity in everything we're doing with the short-term rental communities. Because what my thing was I was the first Airbnb in a specific zip code in Miami, and everyone told me not to focus there. And now there's 300 Airbnbs there. So I learned that when you're pioneering a market like El Salvador, I mean, I saw it firsthand. I did my analytics. Like, there's no new construction here. So that's what the upside is.
Awesome. And then what Eddie said actually follows right into my next question. So SV Lux is the NFT project that's launched for El Salvador. So explain the sort of aspects of the fractional reserve ownership. Also, is it of that centralized location of all the units that you have involved in that place, or is it a fractional ownership of one particular property? And how's that all work? Explain that, because we're using a lot of vernacular for some of the earlier along that want to like.
So within the SVLux NFT community, there'll be other properties that will roll out. Right now, we put a house and a condo into the project, and that's what we're gifting to the community. The NFT is actually a utility NFT that gives you crypto education, real estate education. It brings you into the ecosystem of El Salvador. We help set up your trust structure. We help you set up your company El Salvador. We handhold you through the process, and you get all the VIP access and benefits and discounts in the country.
That's amazing. What blockchain are you guys on?
BNB.
Finance. Awesome. I'll probably have more
Amanda,
questions.
did you? No, you're fine. Jacob, do you have a couple more questions? We have time.
Not yet, but I will.
Okay. All right. Amanda, you had your hand raised.
Yeah, I think Jacob's kind of got into that because when you were saying the community is invested in this company, I'm like, okay, it's not like a timeshare. It's more of it's a profit share that happens. And is there a limit to how many people you're letting invest?
So we have close to 25,000 NFTs. We have a pretty interesting concept because, again, we've brought in my experience in direct sales affiliate marketing. Not to toot my own horn, but in my experience, I've done close to $1 billion in revenue through my organizations. And so I understand how to build communities, what works, what doesn't work. We've gone through a lot of trial and error. And so we've built a 2-level affiliate plan that rewards the community for bringing members in. And so we can spend, a lot of NFT projects, what they do is they spend a lot of advertising money, commercial billboards and ads. But in that close to $1 billion in revenue, I've done it with no commercials, no billboards, no ads, no storefront. It's been just strictly through community. And which is my favorite way to do it because I feel like it's genuine, it's real, it's organic. I don't want to bring a bunch of random people. I want to bring in people that are aligned with my vision and my belief systems and what we see. That's why the show is so amazing, right? It's faith-based. You want your tribe to be part of that. So the community is growing through affiliate marketing. And level 1, for example, an elite pass, there's 222 members that are back to the house. And then, so if there's 222 members for we're approximately going to be about a $1.2 million home. I can share the slide, Crystal, if you want. I can show the development, the project, our website as I'm going through this, if you'd like. It'll give it some.
Sure, that would be fine. Let me go ahead and give you the ability to screen share. Does anybody else have any questions while I'm doing this?
I'm not sure if I answered Amanda's question. I think I was in the middle of it.
No, you did good. Part of Jacob's questions kind of answered it as well. So I was just seeing if I can get it in a different wording, and you did. So I felt like it was answered. I got a kind of more out of curiosity. I've stayed at Airbnbs before. Big fan of them. But there's a lot of people online that aren't because they say, it's ruining the housing market. Or even if you stay at some Airbnbs, they say, do not tell anybody this is an Airbnb. We'll get in so much trouble. Do you guys have any opinions on how the Airbnb is affecting the housing market, especially now that you guys are in real estate?
Yeah, so let me share about that. So that I had about 30 homes, $200 million under management that I was running in my Miami area back from 2015 to 2022. And I would approach owners that, they just sold, that their kids just went to college. They had a $5-10 million home. I would come in and say, hey, I'm going to put 20K in escrow for you. I'm going to come with a third-party insurance. I'm going to take the liabilities of any fines, and I'm going to manage the home for you. So they would trust me with the home because I gave them so much reassurance, and I put escrow in and I furnished the home sometimes. So I put a lot at stake. Some of the homes I would rent for 15K a month. And the city and, the residential areas are, so what I identified was that areas where the school districts weren't as good. So my Airbnbs, because in Airbnb, you don't tell the location, right? So they weren't in necessarily the best neighborhood, but they were always gated homes. So as long as the home was nice, nobody cared. And then because it was a gated home in a not so great area, maybe like a 3 out of 10 school district, it's just that you can't do Airbnbs where people are paying $50,000 taxes a year. It just, they're not going to accept that. They're usually powerful people that are going to call the city, call the commissioner, write a nice little letter, and they're going to make a lot of complaint. And there's ordinances and associations in those types of places. So I find I was really good at Airbnb and I hit the market hard. And with a $600,000 house, I was making $200,000 a year because I would find the biggest house I can in the worst neighborhood that was gated. And so I had a loophole and there was no ordinance, and the neighbors would join the parties, they would be blue collar, and they loved it. They were like, hey, I love your parties. They're awesome. And they would pay them to cut their grass. But if you do it in an area where it's like very high end. So through that business and dealing with the cities, I was in court all the time with fines because I had some houses that I was managing in Palmetto Bay or like, very high end area of Miami Beach. And the fines are $20,000, and the city after you and they put liens on your property. So I realized like, look, this business is a lot of gray area. It doesn't operate with integrity. I really got to find a way to do short-term rentals in an integrous way. And I found that if you build the properties and own the community and you make your own Airbnb community, that's the best way to do it. So I approached Eddie with that we're solving that problem right now by going in and buying all the land, building the community, and saying, hey, we're going to make our own rules for this little area. Right. So that's the key with our projects. Like we're not dealing with any of that jurisdiction problems, legal hours, because we're becoming the association that makes our own rules. Because we have 30 homes we're building at one time in one area, where we could do what we want. But when you're coming to a community, I think what we're doing is a solution to the problem, because people are doing it in residential where people live and there's kids and there's schools. And I think just isolating an area and say, okay, this area will be for Airbnb, right, is the better way to do it. So the only way I could do that is going to a new area where it's not already residential and creating that community. So we're doing that in Oklahoma, we're doing that in North Carolina, we're doing that upstate New York, and we're doing that in El Salvador, primarily because of the laws here, Bitcoin City they're building, the new airport, and Kelly's stuff. So
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing. Eddie, do you have the screen share capabilities?
Yeah. So this is our company, travelsalvador.com. This is our website. These are our different projects. So you can go here. This is the first house on the development. This structure right here, they call this La Ventana. La Ventana, it means window in Spanish, as you can see why they call it a window. And so what we did on our first SV Lux project was that, a lot of people, a lot of NFT projects, the first thing that they do is they'll launch a project and they'll take all the money in, and then they're going to do stuff. We've already purchased close to 1,000 acres of coastal land, debt, no liens, and, free and clear. And then now we're going to the project and we're saying we're going to put this into the project. It's very different. And the second thing is that we didn't just pick some random beachfront. We could have gone and said, and people would have been so excited about any beachfront, right? But we took the most desirable, most tourist beachfront in the entire eastern side of El Salvador, possibly in the entire country. They're developing Surf City 2, which is very close to Bitcoin City. El Salvador has the best surfing possibly in all of Latin America. They say Brazil's a little bit better, but the Brazilians are always there. And when I ask them why you here, they say because there's no sharks and it's warm water. So to them, they're like, the waves are almost as good as Brazil, but with no cold water and no sharks. It's, for them, it's better. So this is the first rendering of the model home that we're building. This is what we're gifting to the community. And so we have 222 members that this project is that the members are going to be sharing. And so we're going to be giving them the passive rewards of the actual home itself. And by bringing members in, again, we have the affiliate plan that pays out in BNB. And obviously with BNB, you can switch out into any other currency. Binance is opening an office in El Salvador right now. And so, you can look at that later when you go to the Travel El Salvador website. You can see the different projects. You can click here like on Ventana, and then you can watch the video of, I don't know if this is playing right now, but you can watch the video of the land here. You can click on Selena Vista, and then you can see, the property, the land of, we literally bought this entire mountain here. And then so you can go through all of them and see. You can also head on over to our team and learn a little bit more about me and Julian, and then learn about the government support. We have, we were featured in one of the main newspapers of the country. There's a whole video of the government supporting us on our story and what we're doing and how they help us with permits and moving things along. El Salvador is not like these corrupt Latin American countries where, you got to pay to do stuff. They do not tolerate any of that. The government slogan is, if nobody steals, there's enough for everybody. And then you can go down here and see the NFT project, which is not owned by Travel El Salvador, like Julian was saying earlier. Travel El Salvador, SV Lux is a decentralized platform that's owned by no one, that's built into a trust that everyone in the community is a beneficiary. So you can go here and see the different NFTs that you can mint that are back to the project in the house. And then you can learn a little bit more about, my internet's not loading here. There's supposed to be a video here of our story of the NFT project, but slow internet. Right there it is. And then you can learn about the academy that we give to the NFT holders, and then learn a little bit more about the different developments that we have here, and how much it'll be upon the completion of the development, and then the main pass that we encourage everyone to get in, which is the Elite Pass.
I got another
Thank
question.
you so much for sharing. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so it sounds to me similar to like a blockchain enabled Airbnb, not like a timeshare. So you're getting paid out dividend yields in BNB for the money coming in from the rental. Now, is there sort of an aspect you haven't touched on it, but is there like an aspect for members, for community members of SB Lux to like, is there a community initiative where everyone in the community actually goes to the property, to the facility and does like sort of a mastermind there? Is that something that's sort of in the works or in the ideas or what?
So
Yeah,
we're
we were
actually,
talking to that.
I'll say one thing real quick, Julian, and please touch on that. We're basically building a DAO. And so as a DAO, you have voting rights. And so you have to go through our academy to be able to actually have the voting right, because we don't want people just voting for random things and not having understanding of what's going on. And so it can go in a few different ways, but I'll let Julian touch on that.
Yes, so the rev share, the block shares you're talking about is going to be in Lady tokens, our native tokens. We're not selling tokens, but we're giving tokens with every single purchase of an NFT, and you can earn tokens by holding and staking. And the longer you own the NFT, the more tokens you're getting in return, and these tokens are redeemable for rewards, experiences, and access to the properties and other things in El Salvador or wherever else we build, right? So this is like the utility aspect to give it like kind of like a point system to like your Amex card or a credit card system there. So, but you can redeem these for and actually the token increases in value once it's sold out. So just by holding it, once we sell it, and every NFT sold, a portion goes to the liquidity locked up away for I think a year or 6 months for the liquidity of the token. So about I would say 85 to 90% of the project's earnings go either to the community or back into the incentive program or goes into the token liquidity. So where we win is we just want to manage homes, right? We want to build contracts, so we're going to manage it for the community. So for us, it's like let's build these homes faster, because right now there's so much demand in this country with the country being so small. There's about 5 million Salvadorans living outside the country that are first and second generation, and there's about 6 or 7 living in the country. So now the country is so safe, these El Salvadorans are coming back and buying properties like they're purchasing oranges. They'll buy like 2 or 3 at a time, because they know their families now can work these Airbnbs, live in these properties, and they're looking at the coastal regions. And we know that if we build first and that's why this community project will help us build faster.
Yeah, because one more thing there is that our plan we're developing a project in in Oklahoma, about 60 homes right now. We've already broke ground and started there. But our plan there, or all our projects, is that we are bringing to market traditionally homes, and then we find the land, we develop the house, we sell the home, but then we keep the contract for management. And there's so much more upsides than just headache for the customer that we can get into another time. And then the other thing is that in El Salvador, the community, the exact same way, we're gifting the house to the community, but then we're going to be doing the management. The passive rewards off of the vacation rental will be paid in our token, Lady token, called Ladybug. A quick 15 seconds on that. When Julian and I launched a Travel El Salvador project, it was a big undertaking. We have kids, we have a family. We have wives that did not have plans of living in El Salvador. They love Dallas. They love their country of Colombia. And so when we went to El Salvador, I said, Julian, we need to really fast on this. We went into the mountains of El Salvador for 3 days, and we fasted, drank spring water, and we really asked for God's guidance on, is this what we're really supposed to do? Because the opportunity seems great. Our eyes are big. We can see the vision, blockchain, crypto, Bitcoin, El Salvador. It sounded amazing. But we wanted to make sure that we were obedient to that. And right after that fast, we just started seeing ladybugs everywhere. Like yellow ladybugs were just showing up all over the place. Our wives are telling us about it. Our friends are saying, hey, after you told me about that project, we're seeing ladybugs. And so we looked up what the meaning of ladybugs was, and it meant good luck, new beginnings, divine guidance. And so we just felt so fitting to call it Ladybug. And so upon the mint of every NFT, 5% of every NFT's liquidity goes into Lady token. So as you can see here, upon the sellout of the collection, close to $750,000 is going into Lady token. We're also gifting something called Block Share. And so not only from the community bringing members in on the affiliate plan, people are getting paid, but then we put aside another 15%, which is another close to $3 million of the project, to just basically every single time a community member comes in as an elite, it pays dividends, or we call it block share, where upon the mint of every NFT, everyone makes something. And so the moment NFT gets minted, it gets dispersed instantly to everyone in the community. And so, when you do the whole math and everything, like Julian was saying, when it comes to block share, when it comes to the affiliate plan, the development, we're giving away close to about 80 to 90% of the project. And where we really win is the long term of the vacation rental.
Yeah. Our biggest thing and hurdle is that so many people have lost money in crypto, including myself, and I've made money. And so we wanted to create a project that like our friends and family, can play with us, and we have some backing to make sure they don't lose money, right? So, and they're secured in some capacity. So with just the incentive of the 15% kickback for holding the elite, on the membership passes for being first, that alone could surpass. I think it was like upon the collection sold out, it's at least $11,000 of BNB token in their wallet.
Wonderful. Do we have any questions out there? Comments?
Yeah, great stuff. I mean, it's a lot to absorb.
It
you
is.
know.
I'm sorry.
I mean, the B2B stuff, that concept obviously easier. But so on the NFTs, you're looking at it, so you have these different tiers, so people can either get in on this. It looked like $220 to a few $1,000s, right, depending upon the tier, and really you're tokenizing their involvement in the property, whatever property that they want, or are those tokens can be used for any of the properties?
So we really wanted to preserve liquidity. Again, we're not looking to, we have a long-term plan on a lot of collections. We want everyone to really win, and that Lady token is going to be the utility on all of our developments, not just El Salvador. And so upon every NFT, again, 5% goes into liquidity. And then what ends up happening is that you can unstake it after 6 months, and then you can convert that into BNB. Now, another way that we're preserving liquidity is because upon the mint of every NFT, we're airdrop gifting Lady tokens to the members. And so when they receive those NFTs, the only way you can get your passive rewards off of your equity of your fractional ownership is to stake that Lady token. So we give you enough just to stake. You can either sell it into BNB or you can collect the passive rewards on the house, therefore solidifying the liquidity more. On top of that, that Lady token, you can use it for a jet ski rental. You can use it at a development project that we're launching called the Bitcoin Mansion. You can use it at the Bitcoin Mansion. You can use it for a lot of the relationships that we're building on the hospitality world in the country. We're saying, hey, listen, we'll bring you a tremendous amount of traffic, but we need you to receive Lady token. And you can receive Lady token, and then you can convert that into, whatever else you want later.
You can put it into your ledger, right? It looks like you can attach it to your ledger wallet and stuff like that, right?
The BNB, the Lady token?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be received in your BNB wallet. So will the NFT. Another thing that we're doing is that the NFT is going to have its own like utility where there'll be access to like kind of like a guest house, not a guest house, but like a clubhouse, or sometimes there'll be like events, or sometimes it's like, hey, first 10 members to respond can stay at the Bitcoin Mansion for free. And so we want to just keep driving the value of that NFT up more and more so people want that access. And so now when you have the NFT in your wallet and you bring it up, it'll have a QR code and you can scan it at the door. My boy there, scan it at the door. And what ends up happening is that you have access. And so we don't have to give people codes or passwords. It's just you having the NFT is your access.
Before we close, I would like to ask a couple questions. One, what kind of properties are you looking for? And two, if there was an investor that wanted to come in and be a strategic investor, what kind of investment would you take? And what would that look like for the investor?
So there's a few different ways to go about it. If it's one where they, hey, I love NFTs, I love crypto, then they can, for example, we're looking at Costa Rica next. We want to take a piece of property in Costa Rica or Colombia or whatever it might be. And then they can partner with us and say, listen, we're building this community, like this organization, and they're going to win here at SV Lux. So they're going to want to play big on the next project. And so we have this huge community of people. If you have the land, then we can bring the community and we can partner up in that way. Another way is that if they just want to do just strictly a land development deal, then we have traditional funding where people can, whether it be loan funding and then work out a deal on the project, or we can show them the numbers, but we could just do traditional deals as well in El Salvador or other parts of the world. Right now, our focus is El Salvador for a strategic partner in that way, but we're open for sure.
Eddie, can I share an example of a deal?
Yeah.
So for instance, we did a deal one time where we got $500,000 in. We did, let's say, 12% interest and equity on the deal in 1 year. So we're paying every month on this 12%, or we pay a balloon at the end, and then we collateralize the deal, which is usually way more than the money, right? So we have deals like that, and then we have deals like, hey, let's buy into this with us. But those are bigger deals. Those are like $1 million to buy in a land with us. So from $200 all the way to $1 million, we have opportunity to partner with us and participate in what we're doing. And we encourage people to come to El Salvador. We'll show you around. We'll introduce you to our developers, our lawyers, and we're working with the best in the country. Yeah, these developers built already a third of all the country. They are one-stop shop. They have all the soil testers, the architects, the engineers. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Thank you guys for joining us today. We appreciate it. Where can people reach out and contact you at?
For me, the easiest way probably is just through our socials on Instagram, at Eddie Mentore. I can put it here right now. Eddie, Eddie, Mentor with an E at the end, Mentore. Instagram is where I'm the most
You're cutting out, Eddie.
Eddie, you're cutting out.
Frozen.
So it's travelelsalvador.io on Instagram.
Our name again. My internet's a little spotty here. I'm not sure what's going on. Everything just froze for me.
That's okay. Would you go ahead and please repeat that really quickly?
Oh yeah. So the easiest way to contact us, I would say, is probably through our Instagram. Our full names, Eddie Mentore and Julian Ducheine. It's just our full names. That's probably the easiest place to get in contact with us.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. Alan, can you please close in prayer?
Yes, I would. Thank you so much for bringing us together. Thank you for all the speakers and people that came to our show to share about the project of El Salvador, Travel El Salvador. Thank you for Eddie and Julian, very passionate in this project, and knowing that they have the Spirit leading them. They have God with them and guiding them every step of the way. Just continue to pray for this group and for this project, that we can get together and help connect the dots and help each other grow in any way that we can with our resources and our network. Pray for the weekend that you be with us in all things that we do. In Jesus' name, in Christ's name, pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate it. Eddie, can you please give me, actually, I can just reclaim